Oh, YouTube, it's really good. My name is Vivid, coach of the South Texas Sableyes, and this is going to be the week 2 team builder for the WBE VGC side of things. And we are playing against Kaycreigh, coach of the LA Spice, the spiciest draft team in all the land. And honestly, I'm terrified because if you know anything about Kay or you follow her on Twitter or Twitch or just any of her socials, she's been practicing VGC a lot. She's gotten very good at the format very quickly. And on top of that, her team is terrifying. So we're just going to talk about what I'm bringing to try and deal with some of this. But before we do, I would like to briefly mention something like 75 to 79% of my views right now are coming from people who are not subscribed. If that's you and you're watching this and you're enjoying the content, just remember to maybe subscribe if you want. If you don't like it or me so much, you can undo it later. But yeah, that's that. So let's just talk about the teams. Kay has access to Gmax Venusaur, Dusclops, Ninetales, Tyranitar, Araquanid, Comfey, Fungus, Salazzle, Cloyster, Mawile, and Purrloin. So a very threatening team. Dual weather setters in Ninetales and Tyranitar. Pretty decent Trick Room options. Araquanid being really good inside Trick Room, hits pretty hard. Fungus being able to spore everything inside Trick Room. It has an insanely low speed stat. Venusaur playing with Ninetales really well. The rain core of this, or not the rain, sorry, the weather core of this team is really good. Dusclops as a Trick Room setter is really, really solid. Comfey is just a massive sleeper pick because Triage is an insane ability that out prioritizes a lot of things. I don't think the Cloyster, the Mawile, or the Salazzle will come this week. I'm not super stressed about those, but pretty much anything else, including the Purrloin, I think is kind of like on the docket here. Anything else is reasonable, but let's look at the team I'm bringing to try and deal with some of these shenanigans. Okay. So first up, this is the sort of like hot tech set that I came up with this week. This is an Accelgor specifically EV'd to outpace Venusaur, like max speed Venusaur and Sun with an Unburden boost. The idea here is to lead in DD Accelgor. It procs the seed pops, you get the Unburden boost, and suddenly Accelgor outspeeds the entire world, basically. The Accelgor's moveset here is just very supportive. Acid Spray, Yawn, Rain Dance, Protect. The Acid Spray making my DD's Expanding Forces hit harder. The Yawn being able to put things to sleep if they decide to stay in. And then the big one is the Rain Dance to reset the weather. So this is a good just overall lead. Accelgor and DD are good overall leads in general this week. Like that's a solid lead against most non-Tyranitar matchups. Like Tyranitar gives it problems because if I just lead in DD Accelgor, I don't threaten the Tyranitar at all, and I probably just have to yawn the T-Tar and switch in DD out into something else. But yeah, if she leads a Weathermon, I like specifically the idea here is if she leads Ninetales Venusaur, I can just set Rain and then Expanding Force because I'll outpace the Venusaur, and with the dynamic speeding, this or like the way that speed works this generation is more dynamic in that when speed tiers shift in the middle of a battle, they actually shift, whereas they used to be set at the beginning of a turn. So if Indeedee is suddenly faster than Venusaur after Rain Dance goes up and Sun goes down, then Indeedee will outpace and get an Expanding Force off. So the Indeedee set is really here to play with the Accelgor set. Also offers a way for me to not let Trick Room go up, which I think is kind of important. This week I don't have fantastic Trick Room options other than Amoonguss. I don't auto lose inside Trick Room because Amoonguss gets me a lot of the way there, and a lot of her Trick Room sort of sweepers are pretty soft to Duraludon. So that is the idea here. And also, if for whatever reason that I need to click Trick Room and I'm kind of desperate, I can make that move as well. So we've got options here, but Expanding Force is just really hard hitting, really good chip on Venusaur. So, OHKOing most sets. It doesn't OHKO obviously if the Venusaur is maxed, but OHKOing most sets outside of max. So Amoonguss here is Akaberry. We want to make sure we can eat Heat Wave from Ninetales in the Sun. That's the play. Spore here, just the moveset's pretty typical. Pollen Puff is really to play with Duraludon. I figured Amoonguss Duraludon is another sort of like lead core that looks really strong this week. Amoonguss Duraludon is the core lead this week that gives me the best play against Tyranitar leads. So just basing off of what I do game 1, I can adjust for games 2 and 3. Game 1, I'm almost always going to lead Amoonguss and Duraludon or Indeedee and Accelgor. Those are sort of my two modes. Accelgor and Indeedee is pretty good against the weather modes, and Amoonguss Duraludon is pretty good against like sort of like the Tyranitar and Trick Room modes. So that's the play here. The EVs here are just, again, we want to make sure that we're living heat waves from Ninetales, like Life Orb Ninetales, which is why we have the Akaberry. Pretty standard moveset here. Nothing spice. Like the real spice this week is the Accelgor. 100%. The Accelgor is a pretty spicy set. I felt very proud when I thought of it. And then also real quick, I should have done this at the beginning of the video, but sort of like shout out to people that helped me build this week. They were Time 80 or Addy. I need a pronunciation guide, friends. I'm gonna say Addy. I'm gonna guess, and then Duke. Those three people really helped, especially Duke and Addy really pulled through this week. And as always, or moving forward, I would like to put the links to anything that they think is relevant in the description down below. So that's my quick aside of, I think that thanking people who help you build and people that help you is important. I should have done it at the top of the video. I'm going to try to make time to do that at the top of the video from now on, but we're already talking and I don't want to go back. Okay, the Duraludon set here. The Thunderbolt is for Araquanid. The Thunderbolt I think could also just be Dragon Stab this week, but this set just does a lot of work against things like Tyranitar, Chunks, Venusaur pretty well. It just hits a lot of the team very hard. Also a pretty solid answer to Comfey. And this week, Kay, especially this week, Kay has shown that she really likes to click the move Ally Switch. And having access to that in Comfey and Dusclops means that Duraludon can kind of turn off that mode of her team to some extent. The weakness policy here is if I'm sort of like sussing out max ground or like a max knuckle, like max ground from Venusaur, like a Venusaur Earth Power, or max knuckle from T-Tar, I can just kind of protect, let my weakness policy go off, get the boost, and then really go to town. So that's the weakness policy. I'm iffy on weakness policy. My front office is really about it. They think that it has potential this week. I'm kind of just like, Duraludon AV always makes sense. But I think this set is good, and I think that especially being able to turn off the ally switch mode of Cade's team is pretty important. Pretty standard Pelipper here, just like max special attack. We're trying to hit as hard as possible, live a hit with Focus Sash. We don't have to worry about the sand killing us after Sash because we obviously change the weather when we switch in. A lot of people ask me why Weather Ball over something like Surf or Scald. So a lot of people asked that last week, and to sort of answer that question the best way I know how, Weather Ball gives me sort of unique options to play off of other people's weather. So a Weather Ball inside Sunny Day is going to hurt a Venusaur a lot, especially if I'm just not wanting to risk the Hurricane Miss. A Weather Ball inside Sand lets me hurt Ninetales a lot. Both those things might not seem super relevant since Pelipper is so slow and generally pretty frail. But it is some niche upside that I can use, and more often than not, I'm probably just going to be spamming Hurricane and clicking U-turn. Scald, I think, is probably going to start coming in future weeks. I don't play a lot of weather matchups moving forward, and the weather matchups I do, Weather Ball doesn't super benefit me in them, but in these first 2 weeks, there was enough niche uses for Weather Ball for us to justify going Weather Ball. And then again, the Focus Sash, just so we can always take a hit and switch out. Seismitoad here, it's essentially the opposite Seismitoad build as last week. Like, we're still max attack. This speed stat lets us outpace pretty much K's entire team. We were able to do just max attack, max speed, adamant, so we have a little bit more punching power. The Life Orb here just gives us a little bit more punching power. Drain Punch, super solid against Tyranitar, very clickable. Bounce, really good against things like Venusaur and Araquanid. Obviously, this thing being face-to-face with a Venusaur that's not already damaged and or not in sun, or if we're in rain and if the Venusaur is in sun, we have problems. But just in general, like the Max Airstream, Max Knuckle, really strong combo. Lets me kind of like set up Seismitoad after the fact. And then Liquidation hits the rest of the team incredibly hard. Yeah, I say it's the opposite of last week because last week we just didn't have a Water Stab and we just had Ground Stab. But this week, it's the opposite of that. So this is the squad. I am terrified. I really think that Kay is someone who is probably being slept on a little bit too much right now. I think people slept on her team. I think people are probably sleeping on her skill level. I think she looks like almost like a lock for a deep run this season, which is something that I want for myself. So I'm going to try to win, But if we don't, then we will regroup and do our best next week. But thank you so much for watching. It means the absolute most. A few things I would like to say before we are done here, and you go choose to spend your time somewhere else, is that one, if you want to watch me practice for VGC, I've decided that next week I'm going to be dedicating all my streams to practicing for VGC. I didn't stream much this past week. My mom came and visited, actually. So if you are interested in watching me play Pokemon on Twitch, then that will be the top link in the description down below. I would love to have you over there. Also, if you are new here, once again, please subscribe. It would mean the world to me, especially if you're enjoying the content. And if you are enjoying, leave a like. Those things are very helpful with the algorithm, or so I've been told. And then comment in the comment section down below and let me know what you think I'm doing right or wrong with this team, with this build specifically. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about the synergies. Let me know what I could have improved upon. I love discourse and learning through the comment section. But yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. It means the absolute most. But my name is Vivid, and I'm kind of done here, and I have to leave. Bye. Oh, you made it to the end of the video. That's dope. Thank you so much for watching. If you would like to see more from me and make it to the end of those videos, there will be a video here and a video here. This one is a video that I think is really good, and this is what YouTube recommends. So you should watch one of them. Okay, thanks.